Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our reaction and review for What We Do in the Shadows, Season 5, Episode 4, The Campaign. Because who better to run a campaign than the vampire Colin Robinson? And who better to assist with that than the return of Evie out of the blue?
So good. I love her.
I Vanessa Bayer is like always to me like one of the most underrated SNL people who have come out of there over the years, and she gets lost because everybody's like, oh, it's Kate McKinnon and Cecily Strong and all these other people. But I love Vanessa Bayer. She's really good.
She's so funny.
She's really good at playing these like weird characters that are kind of quirky, emotional, and like having her be an emotional vampire is so unbelievably funny. Like there's so many little nods and all of this. I will say, when we went to that meeting where she first turns up, there's the freaking believe sign from Ted Lasso
I
in the
saw that.
background.
Oh my god, it's
Like,
so funny.
why is that there? Like, what is the...
To give us all a smile. I mean, Ted Lasso is over right now,
Yeah, that's
but
true.
hey, maybe they will have some sort of a spinoff or something. I mean, it makes so much money for Apple. How can we not get more?
Is Nandor a Roy Kent fan? I have so many different questions,
I
but
feel like probably.
yeah, he probably is. No, we'll talk about the campaign. We'll talk a lot about, Guillermo and Nandor and what's going on there.
Yeah, I mean, I got a question for all you guys.
Yeah.
Should Guillermo just tell Nandor the truth? Like, should he tell him the truth? Let me know in the comments
Yeah.
because I feel like it's got to happen. That if he doesn't, we may. This is a really funny show,
Yeah.
but there are some very emotional elements to this show, and their relationship of sort of master and familiar, and
Yeah.
and just their relationship, their companionship. I mean, it's coming out a lot in this episode. Nandor's really missing his relationship with Guillermo, and I'm also missing that relationship. So I just want him to come clean at this point. I feel like I know what Nandor said, where he's like, I'd have to kill you. But come on, would he's got his heart. They've been together for, well over a decade.
Well, we will get even more into that and talk every little nuance of this episode. But before we go further here, be sure to join our Patreon. We've got a link in the description below for you guys there. We have weekly lives that take place over there. We talk all about What We Do in the Shadows,
Yep.
other great shows. Also, we have some exclusive What We Do in the Shadows content that's over there for you guys to sink your fangs into as well.
Yeah, we have a brand new Shadows video over there right now talking about all the different theories that, we have that are out there on why Guillermo cannot turn like all the way vampire. What is it?
Okay, let's just get back to the question you raised at the start of this video. Should Guillermo tell Nandor the truth? And, technically, there are a lot of other ways that Nandor could learn the truth. It could be a situation where something weird happens to Guillermo with this transformation and Nandor's around. Laszlo could spill the beans, but it's just like, I don't care if you are a vampire, a werewolf, a normal person. It's always just going to be better to just admit to what happened yourself. Nandor is going to be a little less hurt. Yes, it has been established what would happen if a familiar betrays his vampire to this degree, but maybe there's a little bit more nuance in this sense when he's just like, Nandor, I wanted it to be you, but you were never turning me, and you were never telling me when you were going to turn me, so I was desperate.
Yeah, I mean, they've set up that vampires in this world promise their familiars to turn them into vampires, and then they just keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. We've seen that in a whole bunch of episodes on this show now, that is an agreement that they have between each other. I mean, that's just sort of in vampire lore in general with Dracula and Renfield. It's been going on forever. But in this show in particular, we've seen that a lot. So we know why Guillermo is getting really frustrated with it. He's brought it up a bunch of times. And Nandor at that dinner that they had for his birthday. They were all joking around about, ha ha, you as a vampire, Guillermo, ha ha ha. Nandor turned to him and was like, don't worry, I am going to turn you when the time is right. He
Mhm.
promised him again that it is going to happen. It's just
Yeah.
when he feels it's right, which, is seemingly on the show with vampires is never. But at this time, especially this season, you're really showing us how they need each other. Like they want to be together. Their relationship is so close. We see Nandor so desperate to have Guillermo back with him that he can tell that he's avoiding him. He's
Yeah.
feeling really lonely. He's trying to make a friend at the gym with Alexander. It's not really what he wants. You can even see it with Guillermo where he's having a hard time. He's
Yeah.
keeping this secret. He's just like, oh man, I know what the consequences are. That's what Nandor has said. But is that really what Nandor will do? I mean, yeah, he said it at the dinner where it's like, I wouldn't want to, but I feel like I would have to. Maybe there's a way around it that Guillermo can really just put it on the table in a way that he understands. Just say, you've been promising me and promising me. It is too long now. We needed to make some sort of a time limit on this. We didn't. I messed up. How do we get around it? Because Guillermo is also missing Nandor a lot. That's why at the end, after the credits where you see them at the movies together, I'm like, okay, at least they're kind of hanging out together again. But I like seeing them together. For me, that's my most favorite part of this show is their relationship between each other and how they get along, how they interact with each other. There's just something, I know it's about vampires and killers and everything, but
Yeah.
there's something so just genuine and wholesome about their relationship together.
All right, I'm going to put on tinfoil hat here because this is what's going to happen. At the end of this season, Nandor, after feeling all of this jealousy and everything else, he's going to go to Guillermo and he's just going to say, Guillermo, it's time. I'm going to turn you. That is the terrible Nandor. It's time. I'm going to turn you.
Yep.
He's going to be so in his feelings that he's going
He's
to
in his feelings.
He's going to eventually be like, I'm going to do this. And then Guillermo's going to have to be like, whoa, 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 not so fast. And then everything is just going to just go.
Yeah, there's a few ways that this could turn out where it is Nandor's going to find out another way and it's really going to hurt him and they're going to sort of be pulled apart even further, which is, I don't think any of us want to see that happen.
No.
Or, Guillermo's going to have to go to him and tell him and they're going to work something out. But the idea of them just drifting further and further apart as the season is going on, which has been happening. Guillermo's been avoiding him. Nandor's been feeling left out. He really wants his companion back. He's always been a character that's lonely. He wants companionship. We saw him, try to get a wife, bring Guillermo in closer. Like he's just feeling very alone. I could absolutely tinfoil hat see that happening, that by the end of the season, Nandor's just like, okay, you know what? Guillermo's my companion. He's the person that I, spend all my time with. I miss him. I've been trying to impress him. I'm trying to get him back. This is the way to get him back. Put it on the table. How does, Guillermo deal with it then? Because he knows if he lets Nandor turn him, he's going to explode.
Yeah, it's going to end badly now. What does everybody think about Alexander? Okay, first of all, Alexander does not look like a guy who goes to a gym. I'm just putting it that way. He looks.
Hey, everybody's got to start somewhere.
He looks like he was like doing like hardcore weights. I do not look like a gym guy. When I'm like at the gym, I'm not doing that. He looks like.
I don't go to the gym.
Okay, he looks like a guy who just woke up from like a really long nap and is gonna go to a library.
That's me. I'll wake up from a long nap and read books.
Like it's just. I love though these scenes because all of it was just so weird of Nandor just running over it, being like no shirt, by the way, which is also, I don't see a lot of that in the gym either, where it's just like, I'm going to spot you now. You want to go to the movies? If somebody like asked me to go to the movies with them after the gym, after I spotted them, I may never go back to the gym. I'm just going to be totally honest here.
Yeah, I think the show is doing a really good job of setting up more of how lonely Nandor is and how much he has really looked for acceptance somewhere, companionship, somebody that's just his own person, and it's Guillermo, and he's so lost without him.
Okay, let's get now to my personal favorite part of this episode, which is, and I have established that I am Team Laszlo in these videos. Laszlo going to the restaurant and proceeding to, how can we count the number of ways that Laszlo does this extremely badly and or make it seem like Nadja's never going to get anywhere in her life? First, he says, do I communicate with them with sticks? Which is just like one of them. You found a way to be offensive there. You wore that outfit, which I don't even know what to do. When is it appropriate to wear a bucket hat? Like, I think that's the big question. I'm bald, I have to wear a lot of sun protection, but not once have I ever said, you know what, I need a bucket hat. Like, what?
No, nobody needs a bucket hat.
No, nobody. Laszlo, where did you even find the bucket hat? And then I'm going to sing them a song at the end of it, which is somehow even more offensive than anything you have done so far. Congratulations, Laszlo. You are such a loser, and yet you are so entertaining.
Listen, everything that went on with Laszlo and Nadja was just comedic gold. The whole thing. Did it move her plot forward a lot? No. I mean, she's still like, I have this hex on me and I have to make a friend or, be a better person to be able to lift it. We didn't really see the guide or anything like that. But I mean, that's all been set up by her where she's still dealing with this to try to move forward, get this hex off of her. It didn't move the story forward, but it was so funny that it just didn't matter.
It was a great little B story.
Poor Nadja, she's so mortified.
She should be.
I was mortified for her. But eventually Laszlo just came in and he was himself, and it turned into this other thing where they're like, oh, he's this reincarnated spirit, so that brings good fortune, good luck. So it all worked out.
He's such an oaf. Okay, now
he really is.
Okay, the Colin Robinson story kind of factors into like one of my other sort of theories as to where a lot of this season is going, where he makes this big decision to run for office. He gets into his rally debate situation here, which goes on for what seems to be like 1,800 hours, and he gets brought into Energy Vampire HQ, as we can call this. Now,
that was so funny. And I didn't know how long they were going to go on with it. I was like, are they really going to drain us too? And they just went for it. It was so funny.
It was so funny. It was so weird. But it also does bring up the question of, at what point is everybody going to catch on? Because we've already had this season everything with the police in episode 2, the mall, the shenanigans going on in episode 1. We have seen them be basically on a home renovation show at the end of last season. There have been a number of instances.
Everything with the parade. I mean, they're out in the community a lot more than they have been.
Nandor crashed down from space last week. Like,
yeah, he did.
They are so much more out there than they have been in past seasons.
Yeah.
At what point is everybody going to find out? Like, at a certain point, people are going to be like, you know what? This Colin Robinson fella, he's living with all of these other people in this strange house. This house was on TV. There's going to be a lot of questions that start to come out about them. And that should be a hurdle that they have to overcome. Like, it's one thing to deal with, like, some vampire hunters like we've seen in the past. Mm-hmm. But then, like, everybody knowing that you guys are vampires?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough storyline if that's where they're kind of going with this. Because, Nandor can only hypnotize so many people. Like, he's good at it, and they've said that he is. And that's kind of the only way to really write yourself out of that. But once the whole neighborhood really knows what's going on, how do you get out of that? Because they're not going to move them out of this house, and they're not going to move them out of the neighborhood. And Vampire Colin Robinson was now on a huge stage in front of tons of people. And now he's in this big scandal. So it's kind of like, okay, we've seen Evie is now going to be taking over that position and running with it. But now he's put way more of a spotlight on himself and the people he lives with. And the people he lives with, they've all put more of a spotlight on themselves in the last episode, where it's kind of like, okay, we're all out here now. We're on stage, we're on floats, we're with the whole neighborhood, and yeah, weird things are happening. Nandor's falling from space in front of people. It's a lot.
It has to start to be a legitimate concern at some point that a large group of people is going to start being aware of it, or like start to show up at their house and stop, just start asking real legitimate questions. So like, I'm just putting that somewhere in the back of my head for now. Like, the good thing about the vampire Colin Robinson is just that he is so dull and so draining in some of these moments intentionally that I think people will actively try to forget that they ever watched that debate, because they're not going to have any good memories of it. But Nandor, he's so extra and he's so over the top, and the things that he does are the things that everybody's going to remember.
For sure. And I think it is only a matter of time. But I mean, a lot of the things that were going on sort of in this episode are leading up to it's only a matter of time before Nandor finds out about Guillermo. It's sort of only a matter of time before Nadja Tinfoil Hat finds out that hex isn't real. I think it's not real. I think that the guide is making it up and wants to have a friendship. And, she said it before. She's like, oh man, it's really hard to crack into being in a group of other vampires. They never want to let somebody new in. I'm by myself. Like, I've been with them for a while now. Like, when are they ever going to let me in? This is what this feels like to me, a setup so that she can get in with Nadja, that she's the friend that she needs to make.
I think that this episode's a little tricky because it's probably my least favorite of the ones on season 5 so far. That's not to say that it wasn't really funny, because
I agree. It's my least favorite so far, but yeah, it was funny.
It's just ultimately, we have a limited number of episodes per season, and I think we want to all see the story kind of build and move to these sort of big revelations. And for those of you who don't know, like, this was already renewed for a season 6 as well, which is incredible. But I hope we're not in a situation where they're just like, we've got 2 seasons, we'll just draw everything out to the end of season 6. It's like, no, give us the big revelations now. Give us season 6 where you can deal with the fallout of those and do more revelations. And then you order the show for another like 5 or 6 seasons so that you make all of us happy. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I can dream.
No, I think it's harder with the Colin Robinson episodes because he is more of a B character. He's not one of the, main 3 vampires or Guillermo, that when it's about him, it doesn't always thread into everything else because the main vampires don't want to hang out with him. He's just a roommate that lives there that they deal with, but not all the time. So when you do have more of a focus on him, it doesn't really move the whole story forward.
Yeah, I mean, the title of the show, What We Do in the Shadows, Colin Robinson is not doing anything in the shadows. He's out there living
he's a day walker.
He's living his day-to-day life, being a server, a politician, a corporate worker, going into the energy vampire HQ. Like, I hope we do see Evie again at some point.
Oh, I hope so. She's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know when it's going to be, but let's just hope for the best there, but also just hope for more really, really great stuff moving forward this season. But yes, please join our Patreon so you guys can see our exclusive What We Do in the Shadows discussion, our live chats over there every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
Thank you to everyone who is supporting us on Patreon, and we will see you here next time.